So we've added our guides, and now we're going to start adjusting elements and snap them to the guides. So we moved our neat line. Now we move the edges of the data frame to our guides, and you see that as you turn, or as you move the elements around, it'll turn red to indicate that I'm snapped to that guide. The next thing you're going to want to add is a legend. So we're going to include all three items on this, and it's a pretty simple wizard. You can next finish for your first time. As you get more advanced, you'll want to take control of it during the wizard, but you can change a lot of it once you get it in. Now you see it's got the elements on the legend are the same as we've got them displayed on the table of contents. Sometimes that doesn't always make sense, so you want to right click your legend, go into your properties, and you can change the order. We'll move county all the way to the top, and then we're going to move city up one, leaving the roads at the bottom. We can take control of the style of the legend items too. For example, I think everybody knows that interstate highway and US highway and state highways all belong to transportation or road category, so we don't need to say that it comes from the roads database layer, that comes from the category road class. We can just use the symbol and the label without having the heading of the layer name. So we hit OK, and let's apply that. Okay, that's not too bad, but I think what we want to do is have a more horizontal legend and not so much vertical. So let's place the roads in a new column, and let's cause it to spread across two columns, and let's apply that and see what happens. You see, now we can control where the elements are displayed a little bit more. Beyond this, you can't really tell it to have 2 items in the first and 3 in the second. It just doesn't give you that much control. If it does, I haven't got that far into it yet. So at this point we're happy with that. We want to put a border around the legend. We can add a rectangle. Now when you first draw it, it comes up with a default appearance. You go into your properties and you can change that. We're going to make it hollow, and we're going to make the border black. And again, we're going to bring this down until it snaps. You can also resize your legend, and that may be a little bit hard to read, so we'll bring it back. You can also use your arrow keys to arrange items. So let's make that a little bit smaller, and let's bring it over here. Now let's add another item next to that, but before we do, let's add a guide to make sure that our rectangles don't overlap or leave gaps or look uneven along the top edges. So that turned red, it snapped. So we're going to add another rectangle. You could add it by doing a rectangle, or you could copy and paste an existing one. Copy, right click, paste, and there we go. And those are now nice and snapped together. We can use the page zoom to zoom in and double check, and it's clean, good to go. So let's go back out. Let's change the size of that rectangle. Make it a little bit closer to a square. Give it something to grab onto. Okay, let's add a north arrow. And you can pick any of these and you can modify the properties. Now, what we want to do is line this north arrow inside this rectangle here. So we click the north arrow first. That shows us selected. Now press Control and you click that rectangle. You've got 2 items selected. I've set mine up so I've got a shortcut button down here, align center, align vertical center. If you don't have those buttons already customized, you can right click, select Align Center, and right click again and select Align Vertical Center, and it'll do the same thing. It's just a couple extra mouse clicks. You do this 8 hours a day and you start to find things to speed up your process. And if you wanted to keep that and not have it accidentally get nudged, you can group it with this icon right here, which is also available under Group and Ungroup on your right click menu. So right here we're well on our way to developing a base map. We could add a title, we could add a scale bar, you could add disclaimers or other text or logos and addresses. But instead of showing you that as I create one, I'm going to go ahead and open a base map that I've already created. I go to my open icon and I browse around in my voluminous folders and I find my templates and I find my base maps, and I'm going to pick one called 8.5 by 11 landscape. Sure, I'm going to save changes to my demo map. So here we see a base map that's already been created for you that has most all the elements and has the layers all symbolized for you. You notice that there's some layers in here that are either turned off or grayed out, which means they're going to turn off at a set scale. You don't want every city street and every driveway and every frontage road trying to display for 7 counties. You'll wait 5 minutes for ArcMap to draw those lines. What you can do is make scale dependent symbology that'll turn them on and turn them off as you zoom in and zoom out. So this is a given base map that you could use for your own purposes, or you could start modifying and adding data. When we come back after the break, I'll show you how to modify an existing base map.